ending cash for January, beginning cash February at $5,302,328.97. I know you were able to look over those figures. Does anyone have any questions about that or the other report that you were given? Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo.
You're welcome.
Jayla.
Good morning, commissioners.
Morning, Ms. Ramsey.
Let me put that lower. Okay, this morning our facility count is at 39. We have 4 females and we have 35 males and 1 out-of-county detainee. For billing, Roosevelt County has paid $252,514 as of this last pay month. All arrestees by PPD to date, 1 juvenile in custody in March arrested by the sheriff's office. The MAP program, we have 11 in group. We have 11 in the program, 11 in individual, and then 3 on medication. Our GED program, we have 4 detainees. Population changes daily within our facility. Our population changes daily between 45 and 70 due to COVID the last couple of years. Our MAP program was built for 15 detainees to be inducted into the program, in addition to the group and individual counseling. We have our GED classes and program manager, which will be myself. We're going to start testing inside the facility before the detainees have to leave the facility so they can get their GED certification. Religious programs coming in, we had 3 separate volunteer trainings. We had over 25 people volunteer to come in. We have NA and AA along with Celebrate Recovery in our building. I went to Minneapolis, Minnesota, Renville County, which is about an hour outside of Minneapolis. I was sent by the district judge, Miss Maurer. They're about half the size as we are. They're about 72 beds. When I went over there, they had about 30 detainees inside the building. They have 2 full-time teachers that teach 5 days a week inside the building. They also have a rehab center that comes inside the building, and they work 5 days a week with them. They do group counseling, medications, similar to our MAT program, but they're in there 5 days a week. We are exploring various grant opportunities for similar programs as we are all working to reduce recidivism. This is a data-driven approach focused on programming, strengthening, and community support networks, and providing more comprehensive treatment options for our detainees coming in and leaving as well. And then lastly, I did not add, we did pass our accreditation. We should be receiving our certificate, I want to say in July. And that's my report. Do I have any questions?
Good.
All right. Thank you.
Jayla.
Need to enter into indigent.
Yes, we
I
do.
move we enter into indigent meeting.
Second.
Motion made and second to go into indigent. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We're now in the indigent. Go ahead.
Good morning, commissioners. This batch, I had 17 claims. There was 2 for transport and 15 medical. The 17 were for $6,624.06. I recommend the 17 for approval. Fedco Emergency Physicians, 1 claim for $159.52. Roosevelt General Hospital, 9 claims for $4,881.60. Portales Ambulance, 1 claim for $461.50. CSI Aviation, 1 claim for $1,000. And Concord Radiology, 5 claims, $121.44. stand for questions.
The aviation, that's a helicopter.
Yes.
And I'm just curious about what those helicopter
Okay.
rides cost. From where to where did they go?
They came from Albuquerque to Roosevelt General Hospital to pick up a patient and was taken to Amarillo.
And that costs about $1,000.
No, sir. It was $35,500.
Wow.
Oh,
And our cap is $1,000 for transportation. Yes, sir. That's our policy.
okay. Thank you.
Any more questions?
No questions.
I move to come out of indigent.
I'll second. Motion made to second, come out of indigent. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion
Mr. Chairman, I'll
passes.
move to approve presentation by Carol Lacosta Flores as presented.
And I'll second that. Motion has been made to approve Carol's report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Mr. Lovato.
Thank you.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Been super busy here lately. Been working on our budget, got it all straightened up and into administration. We're doing maintenance, blading, pushing a lot of sand still from the big storm that we had a couple of weeks back, and then it just keeps blowing. We're on the north side of the county, over by Curry County, and we're pushing more and more sand, getting roads opened up for the new when silage does come through. So hopefully we get ahead of that before that happens. We've been cleaning cattle guards. We were south of Elida, and we worked through the oil fields and up through PEP, and we hit 50 cattle guards in the last 2 weeks. We brought the machine in, did some service, and we'll go back out tomorrow, and we'll go north of Elida, going up towards Floyd and Sundale Valley Road up that way. Continue to clean cattle guards. So we'll be back at it for about probably 2 more weeks. We're doing classes. This morning we did a RAP class, safety class. As you know, the fires have already started. So we have a fire refresher this morning. We have Kerry from State Forestry come in, and he's doing a class today from 9 o'clock till 1. And then we'll be at the ethics class this afternoon from 3 to 5. So if y'all visit with them this afternoon, they're a little snappy. All the classes that they had today. So I stand for any questions.
You don't have any questions, just maybe some comment. First of all, I thank you and your crew for doing such a great job for us. Was going to ask about from 88 to 10. I'm still getting a lot of calls mainly from one individual. But we had talked about Caliche and that. And I just wondered how soon we might be looking at that, so I could answer them when they call.
I moved the crew to State Line. We're doing that last mile of going north towards Texaco, and that was on our TPF. We're starting our TPF off again, and Desert West will be here within the next week or two, and I need that road ready so when he's here, we could go ahead and microseal that. And then as soon as we finish with that, we'll move to O and 10. We're going to do those 3 miles there. And we should be there probably in 3 weeks and re-Caliche that road and 10 between O and P. Yes, sir.
Again, I thank you.
You're
did a
welcome.
great job
Thank
for
you.
us.
Thank you, Rick.
Yep.
Mrs. Hamilton.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. So just a few things to run down. We have our New Mexico County's legislative regional update that's slated for April 13th at Roswell. They just opened registration for that event yesterday. So I will just need a list of those of you planning to attend so I can get that submitted. We do have our annual ethics training scheduled for today and tomorrow. Y'all have seen the times on those. We have our strategic planning, which we're really excited about, slated for March 30th and 31st. That'll be out at ENMU. Probably one of the most exciting things that we got to do recently, I know several of y'all were able to attend, is we actually had the groundbreaking for the food pantry that was going to be constructed right behind the Bonham home at 1111 Fur. And so that was a wonderful event. The weather didn't really cooperate with us on Thursday, but we braved it. There was almost 30 people that showed out. The food bank has an incredible amount of support, and we're serving as fiscal agent for that one. We are finding that there is a difference in the grant funding and what it's going to take to construct. We're doing some creative work with the driveways. Mr. Lovato has his proposal put together and everything. And so we're having to do some different caliche chip seal approach that is more cost effective than the concrete because of the budget overruns and everything. It's very limited. We only received $170,000 in grant funds, and the building alone was $190,000. The food bank has committed $10,000 up front to cover that difference. And then I'm continually submitting updates to the state to encourage them to consider additional awards to this area because it is a very significant need. I know we've all seen the lines of cars for the food distribution over at La Costa. So the food insecurity in this county is very real, and we're excited to be partnering with the food bank to help kind of curb that need and meet that. It's not going to be a huge building. As we know, it's about 800 square feet, but what they're setting up is ideal for Roosevelt County. Diana with the food bank has done her research, and she knows exactly what's going to work for what the needs are and everything. And so we're excited to see how that comes to fruition. We've been working very heavily in the mental health and substance abuse. As it is right now, we look to see about $10 million coming of the needed $40 million for the regional healthcare. And that's, again, pending signature and everything like that. But that's what tentatively has been allocated. This, again, has 5 counties, 3 municipalities, 8 local governments signed on. So it's a very notable collaborative effort. That is something that several of the senators and, legislators as a whole noted was the collaboration for this. We know our need is significant. We know that our law enforcement, our first responders, they're on the road too far, too much, making too many transports when we're looking at, potentially 6 hours one way, not to mention the burden that it's been on Cannon Air Force Base as well with their needs for this clientele population. So we're excited on that. The county did receive 2 grants, as we've been talking about in our previous meetings, specific for mental health and substance abuse. And so we're bringing in some different local training as well as local events to continue to build capacity. So as those details continue to shape out, we will be bringing speaker contract agreements and things along those lines for the commission's approval. We're excited to see what we're doing. There's one grant that ends June 30th, and so we've got a lot of work to do in a short amount of time. And then we have another one that wraps up the end of September, and so we'll continue to work through those. We have been working on budget development the last month. Plus, the department heads and elected officials have been in meeting with us the last couple of weeks. We would like to look at having our commission budget workshops the week of April 10th. What we're looking at is maybe half a day in the morning of the 10th, a full day on the 11th, and possibly a half a day on the 12th if we need it. Working with everyone's calendars, have them come in. They'll all present their budget request that they've laid out, and then y'all will have the fun work of reviewing what we have proposed and deciding how y'all want to move forward. So if y'all can look at your calendars for those dates, I will circle back with you and see if that's going to work, and then we can get those slated and get a public notice out. We have been working on several procurement projects. You'll see some later on in the agenda. One notable is that we do have the healthcare contract out for the detention facility. It currently is at about $750,000, and I can assure you it's only going to go up. We don't know what that's going to look like yet, so we kind of have a placeholder in our preliminary budgets at this point, but the RFP is out. The deadline for submitting proposals is April 18th, and we intend to be able to bring that to the commission the first week of May. So Ms. Rivera is handling that procurement as well as the chief procurement officer for the county. So just want y'all to be aware that that one is released. And once we get to that final point, she'll be presenting that for y'all's consideration. The last thing is our LATCF funds. This is where we received about $50,000 this year from the federal government to cover deficits. We have part of that allocated, as you'll recall, for our strategic planning, and we have a little bit of about 20 to 25,000 that'll be left, and those funds would be something that we could use to cover the food bank in the event that the state isn't able to meet those grant funding needs. So we do have those pockets designated to finish out those projects that we really need to go ahead and wrap up. And then real quick to present on legislation. So as we talked about, there was 1,089 bills introduced. 25 of those have been signed into law. 53 at this point have been sent to the governor, and there's approximately a little over 200 near her desk or getting to that area. At this point, there was only one veto. It was on a bill we weren't tracking in regards to education and dual credit. April 7th is her due date or deadline to sign that legislation. As y'all know, we were tracking about, I think we ended up about 130 of the bills. Just a few things to highlight. Mandy's talked on several of the voter bills did work their way through. So we'll be watching as those are signed and what that could impact. We did have a massive tax package. We know there's going to be impacts. There was some concerns with the DWI aspect and the funding of it for our programs. So those are all things that we haven't yet seen all the details. And as we know, what's in the details, we need to see those bills. And so once we see those, once they're signed, we'll have a better understanding. So that update, April 13th, is going to be really great for all of us when New Mexico Counties is out talking about all the work that was done at the Roundhouse. One of the things that I know we've all received calls on is House Bill 7. In the Reproductive Gender Affirming Healthcare Freedom Act. One thing that Michael Garcia, the other county attorney, did ask to share is that he is, let me just read that one. He just said, just reiterating that we're not convinced at this point that House Bill 7 can clearly supersede the ordinance. Because again, the Roosevelt County ordinance is not specific to abortion. It is simply saying that any providers have to abide by federal law. So in brief terms, the ordinance calls for acknowledgement of federal law. It does not directly address it, nor can the state disregard federal law as long as that is still on the books. So he did want to make sure that that was reiterated at this point. I think Commissioner Savage summed it up in some of his quotes in the media of it's going to be something that's probably worked out in the courts at this point, but wanted to make sure that y'all were aware of it. There's several other ones that we were following. We are watching to see the law enforcement capacity building, the increase in law enforcement, and a fund for detention recruitment and retention as well. So we are, that was a priority for the counties that we were working on. There were some additional changes to tax exemption. Specifically, they targeted veterans. And then SB 7 was that rural healthcare delivery fund that was signed into being, it was funded originally by the governor. It was one of her priorities at $200 million. It was stripped back to $20 million. So not a lot tied to that appropriation, but we'll wait and see if that could have some positive impacts for our local hospital. It's 4 centers, and it could potentially be utilized for the new behavioral health center as well because of the way that some of the amendments had been proposed. But again, we'll need to wait and see how it is signed into law for those. So some of the other ones that we've highlighted, I think those are the major ones. Again, we want to see the tax age come through. They did change the child detention age limit, and there's no showing that she's going to not sign this one, but it's changing it to from 11 to 12 in terms of holding a child in detention. Might have a minor impact, as y'all all heard the large numbers for our detainee or for the juvenile detention billing. And Then the MAT program, I know Commissioner Lopez, this is one that we were watching closely. In the end, the counties were stripped out because they removed the funding for the county facilities in regards to MAT. So at this point, all that's in there is it's specific to the state. So we consider that a definite win because right now, as we all have those clients in our facility, y'all recall, if they're going to DOC, we can't, we either have to taper them off medication or we can't even put them on that because DOC isn't set up to continue that level of care. So this at least puts into place where DOC, I believe, is going to have about 2 years to get their MAT set up. So we are thankful to at least see them moving in that direction. And they say that that will likely come back again. Senator Ortiz-Pino carried that, and so we could see that in the coming session or two. Other than that, those are the highlights. There's so much more, but I would stand for any questions if y'all wanted more information or had something specific on a bill. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just had one statement or comment, and it could coincide with our commission line item. But I really wanted to give a special thanks to all of you guys, to my fellow commissioners, to Amber and everybody else, all of them that were instrumental to truly support unanimously in the most part. The sad reality is that we do have a food shortage issue in Roosevelt County, and we have a major behavioral health crisis. Well, I don't know if it's crisis, but for you guys to truly support those initiatives, it is greatly appreciated by our local leaders in that field, the clients that we serve, and a lot of other people even outside of Roosevelt County. So thanks a lot, guys. And Commissioner Dixon.
I think that's it.
Mr. Driver, I think probably it might be, I'm sure y'all are interested, but Amber mentioned that the newspaper called me about the abortion ordinance. They asked me how I felt House Bill 7 would affect our ordinance. 2 questions. How do you think that affects your ordinance? And second, is there any consideration from the commission in the way of rescinding that ordinance? And my answer was, like Amber said, to my knowledge, House Bill 7 does not give the right to any New Mexico citizen to violate federal law. And no, we have not discussed whether or not to rescind it. As y'all know, all of our discussions are public discussions. We have not discussed it privately or in public in the meeting, and there's been no discussion as far as rescinding. Those are my answers. And in that regard, our lawyers, the lawyer from Austin, is excited about moving forward with the litigation. He thinks he's accomplishing what he set out to believe, and may indicated through Logan Brown to me that he may be filing suit on the Attorney General for something. Who knows what? I don't know. So I thought I better report to y'all, kind of know what transpired with me and what my answers were. Because sometimes the newspapers tell you, no, come out like I said it in the first place.
So what did the newspaper put in?
I think that's what you said. I think they did put in.
What you said?
It was accurate what I said this time.
Okay.
Mr. Savage, we appreciate you. Very much.
'Cause
Well, I'm cautious about saying anything newspaper.
I know.
And I'm cautious about, I know that I don't have the right to speak for the commission. Anything I have to say would be personal comments. In no way my comments represent the views of the commission.
We understand. Thank you. Anybody else?
I do. Did you have something first?
I just want to say thank you for everybody coming here. And Rick, I've had more compliments than complaints about the roads here lately. So I thought I'd relay that. They sure appreciated y'all getting down and cleaning some of W and back down in that way. And they sure they did call me up and appreciated it. So I wanted to relay that to you. So thank you.
So I went to a meeting. We had Clay Nichols via Zoom. He is the gentleman that from Fish and Wildlife that wrote the rules for the lesser prairie chicken. So we set up a meeting with him. There was several from Chavis, Lee, Quay, Curry, Roosevelt. There was several in a Zoom. There was, anyway, we had a big meeting with him, asked him questions on different things that we had, how it was going to relate to roads. I asked, he said, oh, I don't think it's going to be an issue. But then the very next thing he said contradicted to me, because it depends on their nesting. It depends on everything. So it's kind of a wait and see. The rule will go into effect on the 27th. However, the way they have it worded, a lot of it is going to be put in place as they go along. It's still a work in progress, even though they've got to put the rule in place now. Kind of like they had to kill the feral cattle right now, but we can wait because the spotted owl is nesting, but you know, we couldn't wait the 3 days before that. So my thought is on this whole thing with lesser prairie chicken is that it's a battle that I'll continue to fight. It's going to, if it's not this endangered species, it's going to be another one. One of the questions that was asked was, you've made the footprint smaller right now, the way you're showing, is this going to be the map? Well, we're not sure exactly of the map, but the gentleman asked, okay, so that's the footprint for the lesser prairie chicken. What's your footprint going to be for the sand dune lizard? Well, it's different. So it's just going to be another one that's going to do the exact same thing. And it's all about control of your land and control of your water. I think it all goes into play with the 30 by 30, with the WOTUS, America the Beautiful, whatever you want to call it. I think it all is going to go into play with that. And it's just a part of control of our land and our water. So anyway, I'm going to continue on with this. And if there's anything y'all would like me to do on that, I'd be happy to.
Well, I appreciate your report and you attending the meetings and being able to inform us what's going on.
Okay. I know they're scheduling a, I think there's 3 commissioners, and they're doing some radio deal. We're going to be on some radio program, but I don't know the date yet. But I will keep you all
Yeah,
updated
I'd like
on
to.
it. It's for the lesser prairie chicken.
I'd like to know it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're done. Moving on to old business. Request for approval of final appointment of County Evaluation Protest Board, Ms. Hamilton.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commissioner. So including your packet, the one additional alternate of Scott Christensen, he has agreed to continue to serve. So that completes our board, and just ask for approval of him.
Move to approve.
I second it.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve item 5A.
Yes.
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 5 yes votes.
Thank you.
Item 5B, discussion and revisions of the county proposal of phased work on Roosevelt Road 6. Present to City Council. Amber and Rick.
Yes. Good morning again. So I'm going to let Mr. Lovato get started with this. This was included in your meeting packet.
Again, hello, Chairman and Commissioners. Our last meeting when we had, Commissioner Lopez asked us to revisit this Road 6, and Ms. Hamilton and I, we got together and we revised the draft that we sent to the city a couple of months back. And the revision that we did was the $100,000 from the county for chip sealing and all the labor that goes with it, which the cost will be a little over $135,000 with labor, equipment, and materials. We're asking the city for $45,000 in tree removal and helping out a little bit around there. And if the city cannot come up with the $45,000, what we suggest is knock out the microseal, because this first phase of Road 6 will be concrete, curb and gutter, base course, chip seal, double pin chip seal, and microseal. So the $45,000 that we're asking from the city would be to pay for the microseal. And then moving on this, we will ask the industry out there for $70,000 to pay for the concrete from the intersection going west 350 feet up to the turn in to the scale house at DFA. And if they do not want to come up with that, we're suggesting that we just double pin it, chip seal from the intersection all the way 1 mile of the full of South Roosevelt Road 6. We would like to present this to the council. We would like for your approval for us to move forward on this and maybe meet up with the city council and see if they'll let us work on this road for them and move forward on this. We also have a deadline also. In this calendar year, I would like for something to happen. I got a little space in the 1st of July where we could go in there and rip that road up, start getting all the dirt work done, and then get it chip sealed hopefully by August. But again, we need your permission to move forward and then get this to where we can go in front of the board or the city council also.
So one of the other things that we changed,
Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Yes, Mr. Lopez, go ahead.
Thank you. Sorry, it's kind of difficult to do it from the phone. If this request from Mr. Lovato and Amber needs to come in form of a motion, I would like to make that motion after I ask one more question. This will go all the way to RRU, right?
Yes, sir.
You guys have already worked on RRU?
Yes.
Okay, so I will make that motion to proceed and give our county manager and road superintendent direction to meet with the city for deliberations or whatever it may be.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded to move on with the proposal of 5B.
Yes.
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 5 yes votes. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Lovato.
Thank you.
Okay, now 5C, discussion of the development of Roosevelt County Board of Commission rules of procedure. And Randall and commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, we've been talking in the last couple of meetings about, a potential draft rules of procedure that would govern the procedure of this commission and other boards. And I put together something that has worked in other communities. It is simply for your consideration. I have no pride of authorship. This is your document, not mine. And I want to put it before you. I'm certainly welcome or able to, or hopefully able to explain anything that you don't understand or you don't disagree with. And I'll just leave it to you to decide if this is something that you want and how we can make your commission meetings run more smoothly. And so everybody knows, the rules of the road when we come to these types of proceedings. That's what this is all about.
Okay, thank you. And as far as me, I think our meetings are running very smoothly as are. But there is a couple of questions in here I had on page 5. Item 4 it says a member of the commission may attend regular or special meetings by electronic means upon at least 6 hours of written notice. That's not really possible most generally. That doesn't need to be in there. And I see, I guess it's, yeah, next page over. Under F, it says refrain
What
from.
page are you on, Mr. Rose?
Okay, right here. Page
6?
6.
Okay.
It says refrain from negotiating contracts or agreements on behalf of the commission without authority from the county manager or the chair. Only the chair, the county manager, or their designee can negotiate a contract on behalf of the commission. First of all, I don't think the chairman needs to be negotiating any kind of a contract for the commission. I think that could be a loose cannon somewhere down the line.
Sure, absolutely.
I mean, even though I may have good intentions, I'm not going to be chairman forever. So I don't know what's coming up, and therefore. But my opinion on changing anything or having anything in black and white, I'm really opposed to. We have our meetings run very loosely, but we still conduct a proper meeting of sorts.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. I will.
Just for the record, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this agenda item is for a discussion only, right? We're not making a move on anything today.
Didn't understand. Dennis, I didn't. Could you say that again, please, sir?
Oh, sorry about that. I said, this is for discussion only for today's purposes, right?
We can take action on this if we want to. But
I
yes,
prefer
it
not
is for discussion.
I don't see any reason to take any type of action today. That's where I stand, so.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, on item F, we just talked about there.
Item F on
On page, the one you just talked about,
Okay.
it's
page 6.
only the county manager, chair, only chair, county manager, or designee. So see if I understood your comment right. You were opposed to saying chairman should be designated.
I say,
But what about
no.
did you have any opposition to the designee?
If it's appointed, in this case, it should be, if you want to go ahead and streamline it, it should be appointed by the commission
Okay.
to negotiate. And I don't feel like any one person on the commission should.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand and I agree, and I wanted to be sure that we were on the same page.
Okay.
Y'all have anything?
Well, I had some questions and some comments on section 1.9 on public comment guidelines. I disagree with the 30-minute maximum public comments. We work for them. They take out their time of the day to come up here, and I think we need to hear them. That's our job. They elected us. If we ain't got time to listen to them, we don't need to be here. My personal view on that.
Hang on just a minute. Where are we?
1.9.
On section 1-9,
Page 7.
under the public comment guidelines. It was going to limit, it's 3 minutes per person, but they was going to limit a 30-minute guideline, time limit. And I disagree with that.
And generally, and it's on our agenda, it's at the discretion of the chair.
Right.
If there's, and I have done it myself and other chairmen ahead of me, we allow more time if needed. But I agree with what you're saying.
But anyway, and then in their section 2-8, I don't know, and this is just my opinion. Like I say, these meetings been running pretty smoothly, but when we're voting on a motion, I'd like for the clerk to take the roll vote, since she's having to write down the minutes of the meeting anyway. I'd like to the clerk to handle the voting roll call. And I think it's more professional, and I know we're pretty loose up here, but I do, that's just my way of thinking. That's just me right now, coming on here. And and then, after each motion or whatever, I don't see what there'd be a big deal about asking for commission comments or a public comment after a motion has been made, whether they won't say, I think it's just something we need to think about.
I don't know that we have a place for a public comment.
See, we haven't, we don't,
No.
but I
we
think
need
it could be in there, since we're redoing it. If you're thinking about redoing this, that's what I'd like to add in there. If
Okay.
we're gonna, and then, and I know, I don't know how this pertains to this, but I do know there's a 72 hours under the Open Meetings Act, or 72 hours for notification on the agenda. I think that needs to be out a week ahead of time, just so if we need to change the agenda, we can all get a glance of it. If we need to change it or need to add something, or somebody wants to be put on the agenda that they thought they were and they're not, I think we ought to have time. I think the agenda needs to be put out. So just so that we could do that. I know a lot of other boards are run that way. A lot of our school boards are run like that. The agendas are put out there a week before, ahead of time. And I think we need to consider that. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Tina?
I agree. I would like to see, that was one of my things, by the way. I would like to see I don't know necessarily mean public. I mean, it needs to be published 72 hours in advance, but I would like to see the agenda come out a little earlier in our packet. I know that, like on the commission meetings, what he was talking about, I've seen some of the ones where like they'll make a motion to approve something and it'll say commissioner comments and then public comments. That way the public gets the opportunity to speak on anything before we vote on it. Because I mean, when we talk about public requests, they can speak on anything not on the agenda or whatever, and then they can comment as we go through. And I think that would be a good idea. So anyway, that's my two things.
Thank you.
I'm kind of a little bit apprehensive when we go to have public comments. I think the way we do the public comments is good. They have the agenda, they can come see the agenda and they can speak on anything on that agenda. But I think when you start dialogue, there should be any dialogue back and forth. I want to hear what they have to say, but as far as them asking questions or getting any sort of a debate or any situation where we debate or argue, I don't want to do that. I would kind of be
I agree.
real cautious about having those comments after you pass the motion, because what I would suspect would happen was the people who did not agree with your decision would probably have the comment. So they had their chance up front, and that's all I want to give them.
And I agree with that, Rod. And you know, it's our job to listen, but we don't have to react with them,
That's right.
you know, but we need to listen. And I'm with you on after, you know, but after a motion is made, whether we passed it or not, after a motion is made is when I think we ought to let the public have a little comment or what, you know, give a 3-minute comment or whatever. But as far as interaction, I do not think we need to interact whatsoever with the comments while we're at one of these meetings. That I think you're right about that. You know,
Well,
I do full-heartedly agree with you on that.
what I would be wondering about then, if you give them 3 minutes in the public section, they get 3 minutes. Then when you offer the motion, you give them another 3 minutes.
Well, under the one public comment is the way I
Public
the way I intercede that is they can't talk about anything that's on the agenda
on public comments.
on
they
public
can.
comments.
I think they can talk about anything.
They can
they
talk
want
about
to.
anything on public comment.
No,
Right.
I mean, in all these other meetings, like at the different places that you go, when they say you have public comment, you can speak about anything that's not on the agenda in public comment. But the ones that have that particular thing in their deal, then that's when you speak about what's on the agenda.
Right.
But I'm
And
not sure that I would have to reread our public comment section.
And I
because
may-
the way
and I may be
understood it, they
wrong.
can-
And I may be
Anybody
wrong.
can talk about anything
Yeah.
on public comments.
And we're
So
talking
we'd
about
like
our
to hear
meeting
that.
here at the county.
Here-
not
And I'm looking at it right now,
anybody
Rod, and you're right. It says it's no action to be taken, but all public comments will follow public participation resolution, which they can talk about anything.
Mr. Chairman, can I
But-
say something?
Yes, sir.
You know, I've been in this business for a lot of years, all through high school, college, and so forth, up until today. And the whole purpose of a chairman and vice chairman, and I don't think it's my opinion, I think this is reality, is so that they can set boundaries, so that they can control orders, so that things don't go and get out of control. I think what we've had, it's hard for me to truly build a document and change something that really doesn't need fixing. I know we all have our own opinions, and they're great opinions. I agree with all of you guys, but I just think that the chairman, that's the reason us board commissioners appoint the chairman, is because we entrust in them to do exactly what I said, you know, control order in our things. And I hate to say this, I love my constituents, I love my Roosevelt County people, but this could truly get out of control with some individuals that could possibly be extremists. Even people that come in that aren't Roosevelt County residents. I just think our chairman and vice chairman need to have that control to be able to control. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I agree.
I agree too.
Okay. There's no other discussion. We will move
I've
on.
got all kind of discussion. I'm going to try to make it brief.
Mr. Savage, please
Now-
continue.
I think Mr. Van Black did a good job. And I had some questions. Let's talk about that section 168. He said the chair may present motions. Chair may participate in debate.
Yeah.
And I'd like for it to say that chair can propose motions and speak in debate.
And second.
And so, yeah, whatever. And then the chairman should be able to participate as any other member. Your quorum, under quorum B5, the number 10. Why did we select that number? I have to pull it up here. It's under the part that talks about a quorum. Does anybody help me out on page number?
Are you looking at section 111?
5 of 18.
Okay.
5 of 18. We're talking about 1-5. no member shall attend more than 10 regular meetings of the commission electronically during any calendar year. Why 10?
It's just a number that worked, Mr. Stavish, for other boards. It's just something that,
I
I,
thought that would be quite a few, quite
yeah,
a few. I
you know.
thought 10 would sure be a lot to miss during a
the,
year.
the law certainly says the law says you can attend electronically if it's inconvenient or difficult to meet. I mean, that's what the criteria is under the Open Meetings Act.
I'd say I'd rather stick with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
But anyway,
And I think we put
10
that
is a
in
lot. I
section
would think
2.
that should cover it, but
Yeah, I think that's already in B2, sir. So we can just strike, the last one.
Reading through this, I think Mr. Van Vleck did a good job. And the part that I'm having trouble with is this part on the second, because y'all appear to believe that a second should be required to bring a motion for discussion. And I don't share that opinion. Now, the reason for that, and like I said, whatever y'all decide is going to be fine with me. I mean, I'm going to abide by your rules. But Robert's Rules of Order are rules to go by. We have rules for a regular assembly, and we have rules govern a board. They're rules. And this, when we headed down this road and said, can Mr. Van Vleck provide us some guidance on how to conduct these meetings? I think that might be a good idea to put us all on the same page. We all understand that. What are the rules we're going by? But when we started down this road, I specifically said, yes, I am in favor of developing the rules that we can go by, as long as they do not violate Robert's rules or differ from Robert's rules. And so when I read this, there are a few little things that are insignificant, but the big thing is section 112. We talked about small boards. And he is recommending that we completely disregard 4921. So we have rules for regular assemblies, and we have rules for boards. 4921 are the Robert's rules for boards. And those are the rules he's just suggesting that we disregard. When I thought the agreement was, yes, let's have some rules we can all abide by, but let's follow as long as they coincide with Robert's rules. So a deletion of 4921, which are specifically the rules prescribed for a board, were being deleted. And 4921 are the rules that say the president can vote, make motions. The president does not have to rise, doesn't have to stand up to call for the vote. The members don't have to rise to gain recognition. They can sit there and say, they don't have to rise. There are several rules in that determine procedure in a board that make our job a lot easier. We already do all of them. Okay. And so I'm very reluctant to remove 4921. Now, so I'm not in favor. I'm not in favor of seconding a motion, because I think it's fine to tell the president, yes, I think it should come. We should discuss it. But what I am not in favor of is failing a motion due to a lack of second. I think there's a little bit of a difference. But the rules now do not allow you to fail a motion due to a lack of second. Because there are other avenues that you can take if you want to fail a motion, just don't vote for it. If your purpose for not seconding a motion is to keep it from coming before the commission, then we have the motion to object to the consideration of the question, which does need a second, requires 2/3 negative votes to sustain the objection, but you can move to object to the consideration of the question. One person can do it, and we'll vote. Then if you don't want to take that question up, you've had a vote not to do it, and you don't have to redo the rules or violate any rules to accomplish your purpose. But if you say you can fail a motion due to a lack of second, we're in violation of Robert's rules, 4921. If y'all want to do that, then okay, that's your decision. Me, I want to adhere to Robert's rules. We decided when we agreed at the beginning, yes, we'll do these rules as long as we adhere to Robert's rules. And I got the answer, yes, I will adhere to Robert's rules. And then when I get this, it says delete 4921. Deleting 4921 is not adhering to the rules. So that's my, okay, a little bit more on that. There are 5 of us. Each one of us represent a district. It's not about me. Leadership is not about you. It's about them. It's not what I want. I'm trying to follow what my constituents want. So if I present a motion, I'm really not so much what I want as I'm presenting an action that I feel my constituents want. And there's more than one of them. And then, so one person, if there's 5 of us, one person would be 20% of our membership. But if you make it require a second to come before the commission, the effect of that is that you're requiring 40% of our membership to agree that they should come before the commission. It's a little bit different in a larger assembly. But in this small commission, to require 40% of our membership to agree that it should come before the commission is too much for me. Is if you don't want it to come to the commission, either vote no or move to object to the consideration of the question. And that way we don't have to make any new rules. We just abide by the rules.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, can I have the floor real quick?
please.
Before I lose train of thought on everything that was spoken about just now. But so Commissioner Savage, what you're stating right there is could be something that's very, very simple for us commissioners to do, but it's been old-fashioned rule that we do it how we've been doing it. But correct me if I'm wrong. What you want is if you make an abortion, if you make a motion on a certain issue, what you want is for at least for it to go to debate or someone to have a rebuttal, and then for there to be an official formal vote, right? Even if it would be a 4 noes to a 1 yay.
Are you understanding? Because
I did.
Okay.
It's pretty much what you want.
And you know, that problem of not having a second, the probability of that ever happening is very small.
Very small.
Because my opinion is if I'm on this commission, and I'll guarantee you, if any one of you guys want to present a motion, I'll second it. But to fail it due to a lack of second, there's some times that, man, it's real tempting to do that. But I would suggest if you don't want it to come before the commission, just object to the consideration. Okay.
And my opinion of a second has always been if there was not enough interest in passing the motion, that's the purpose of the second.
I understand
Is-
exactly.
It is to show that there is enough support for the rest of the commission to go further. And that's what I always thought the purpose of a second was.
I think you're exactly right in a formal assembly, in a regular assembly. But the rules in a board are different, and their rules. So we all understand, I understand what you're saying. We kind of understand what the issue is.
Yes.
So if we do adopt these resolutions, which I think adopt these rules, which I think he's done a good job on, that particular one, being able to fail a motion due to a lack of second, I would rather not do that. I would rather say, if you don't want to take it up, object to the consideration. Let the rest of the board vote.
Okay.
And,
I have a comment. So I think what the big problem here is we had a meeting, and that's exactly what happened. It was called and it didn't get a second. So that's when you were chairing and you called the vote anyway, because you said it didn't need a second. But the motion or whatever we had on the agenda prior to that, you seconded. And even after that, you would still second. So what we need to do is make sure that whatever we do, it's in there so that it's that way consistently. It's not there for convenience. And it needs to be done consistently, not just when it works for whatever situation. We either need to do it or don't do it. But I don't want to be sitting up here and get a schooling on something every time I do something because it doesn't work the way somebody else wants it to. We are all grown adults that were elected to a position. I want to sit up here and I want to do my job. If we need the rules written out in plain English so that we all understand, then that's what we need to do. Because I am tired of the battle. I don't think it's right to disrespect or to be rude to somebody else because you don't like the way they vote on your vote or whatever. So whatever we need to do to get this done, that's what needs to happen. It needs to be consistent every time. If it needs a second, the dadgum thing needs a second. If you don't want to have a second, then don't have a second on anything, but just make it black and white. And that's all I have.
are you finished?
I am finished. I don't know if you say something else, I might not be.
Thank you. That's one thing that I like about this deal is our members have the ability to have differences of opinions and still function. So I appreciate that. So anyway, that's
Okay.
basically my opinion. That's neither here nor there, whether we adopt Mr. Van Vleck's recommendation. So
Well, this item,
I'm not going to recommend that we adopt it because we said we would follow Robert's rules and we didn't.
I'm with you. Okay, this was only for discussion. I guess action can be taken. Does anybody else want to have anything else to say? If not, I'm moving on. New business. Item 6A, request for approval of submission of the FY 24 Law Enforcement Protection Fund application for the Sheriff's Office. Mr. Sanchez.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. Morning, Commissioners. Mine will be a lot simpler and easier and quicker. So in your packet, you had the application for the Law Enforcement Protection Funds for the July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 fiscal year. We're just seeking your approval for the chairman's signature on this. This is the annual application that we get for monies for equipment and also for training. It's gone up this year to $95,000, and then we're going to receive $18,000 for training, and then along with other uses that we could use that LPF for. So I'll stand for any questions.
I move we approve 6A.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve 6A. Roy Lee, how do you vote?
Yes.
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 4 yes.
Yes.
5 yes votes. I
Thank
forget
you.
about you, Dennis. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Okay, item 7A, discussion and consideration of agreement between Roosevelt County and City of Portales regarding Portales Communication Center agreement and or joint powers agreement for regional consolidated dispatch structure for Portales, Roosevelt County. Okay, we have the commission, Mr. Sanchez, Councilwoman Veronica Cordova, ready to speak. So who wants the first to speak? Veronica, I would most certainly enjoy listening to you.
Mr. Chair, well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the commissioners. Thank you for having me. I just wanted to report on the board meeting, the appointed board that we had. Chad, myself, Tina, and Dennis did meet. We were instructed to come back with a written agreement, which we did. And so now we're just waiting on y'all's part. I believe that we are moving in the right direction with this. We have moved to appoint and to hire a director, which she is here today. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting her, but we do have a communications director. We are moving in a way to where it's going to be beneficial for all of us. We do want you to know that our representation to what we want to our citizens, to our staff, to your staff is all one. We want to protect our first responders. So if you have any questions, I would ask if you have the drafts ready so we can review.
Yeah, we do have.
Good.
We all had them in our packet.
Okay, perfect.
The same ones you received.
Okay. You have anything you want to add?
Okay, would you like to have anything to say, Mr. Sanchez?
Well, I think everybody knows where I stand on this. Don't want to beat a dead horse to death. So, I made the suggestion to bring 2 agreements or a couple different agreements to the commission so y'all can review them and pick which one y'all think works best for everybody. So that's kind of what we did. The attorneys drafted up an agreement. We sat down and just went through it. There were some formatting errors and a couple of things that I requested to be changed. And I think it was mainly in the contract portion of it and not the board portion. I know there was a couple of things that we changed in the board portion, but I think the final draft that came out is kind of what we sat down, the chief deputy and I and Amber, and went through it and just some suggested changes that we made, and I'll stand for any questions.
I would like to add that I haven't had a chance to meet with Chad since receiving the email of the proposals. So that would be something that maybe we can look at. And then I think that you guys are, on the same board as what the city is. We just want to get this thing finalized so that we can all move forward, because we have other work that we need to do. We need to move forward to fire and EMS and all the other projects that we're working on. So I know that y'all are ready for this to be, finalized as we are.
Yes. So,
I have some comments, but I would yield to anyone else who.
I'd like to say, I've been on the outside, just now on the inside looking in. We do need to pay for the services. We're almost a year behind. But personally, everybody's talked about the regional dispatch, what brought this all above. I was down in Lee County week before last, visited their dispatch deal center down there in Lee County. The state police is already on a regional dispatch deal. And I think this is coming to the sheriff's departments in the future. I think it's something we need to look into. I think it can save the county and the city some money. I do think we need to look into that, but that's just my personal comments.
Mr. Criswell, I did tour that facility as well. And yeah, it's a great facility.
Yes, it is.
They do have a lot more money than what we do have in Roosevelt County. So their county does put in a lot more money than what we're requesting from you guys.
Right.
But we don't have the oil money that they have down there. So I mean, if you know, if we could get the funding to be at a facility at that level, I would recommend that all of you guys go visit that, because they do have a really awesome facility down there.
Yes, it is. I mean, state of the art.
Yes.
I think that woman's name was Miss Sanchez. Her last one.
Angela Martinez.
Angela Martinez. That's right. That's right. She was very nice, and she took us through that deal. She took me through that deal. And she said that she was hated for 2 years after implementing what she did down there in Lee County.
Yeah.
Literally hated for 2 years by the citizens of Lee County, by how she implemented stuff. But it saved, when we were in there, it was quiet. Yes, they got some calls, but it was quiet. I think there was 6 of them in there handling all of Lee County. And we're talking all of them but Jal.
Yeah.
Jal's not included in that deal, but we're talking anywhere from Tatum all the way all of Lee County. And it was impressive on how they done it. And like I said, if it's going to a regional deal, I don't know where the cutoff lines are going to be, how the boundaries are going to be, and how many districts are going to be in that region. But I do think it's something we might need to, look into in the future of doing. But I do agree, y'all need to be paid for what you've done.
Well,
And
we
we're
appreciate
grateful
that.
for the services that you have provided.
And
I
we're
am very
grateful to help, our citizens in the county. That's a service that we don't want to do without, because we're all one.
Anyway, thank you.
You're welcome.
Dina.
I don't know. I've been to that dispatch center. I've toured that as well. And I agree. I think we're all going to end up being the regional dispatch as well. And I would rather choose where we're going to go rather than have the state pick where we're going to go. So if we could find it, I mean, Lee County's got it set up. They've got it great. I mean, if we could find a way to join up with Lee County as a group, and I mean, I think that would be awesome if we would just do the regional dispatch through them and see how long it's going to take, see what it's going to take. They would have all of the burdens, all of the insurances, all of the, all of that stuff. And I would love to see us just do that if that's something that y'all are interested in.
I believe that we are interested in a regional, but we want to have that here, because we don't want to have to be dispatched from Chaves County or, somewhere far away, because we want to make sure that our officers and our dispatchers are dispatching for here. If we start it, maybe we can bring in other entities to where we're the main hub. I know that you guys did ask for a facility all on its own. So because we just entered in to the building that we're at now, to move it, it would cost, Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's like $1.3 million. And we did quote that out through Yucca.
Can I say something real quick?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, and we would be down for 30 days.
Good afternoon, Sheriff and City Councilwoman Cordova. Thanks for being there with us. Wish I could be there, but couldn't be there. I'm going to go back to our meeting, our forum that we had at the Memorial Building. And I think that all of us were in agreement, because that's why so many guys were proactive enough to go visit Lee County. And we're all in agreement that we're going to have and want a regional dispatch eventually. But comparing ourselves to Lee County is not comparing apples to apples by no means. They're huge. Leamington and Tatum is the size of Portales. And they've got Hobbs is huge, continues to grow in the surrounding areas. So with that, I said this at the Memorial Building. I want to quote myself. There's got to be a starting point somewhere where we collaborate with each other, help each other, financial and any other ways. So even if we have to baby step our way through this, we need somewhere to start. And I think that the issue that me and Commissioner Dixon were elaborating with, excuse me, I think I already talked, with City Councilman Heflin and Cordova, is that that's exactly what we were all came to a consensus that we need to start somewhere. And I'm not trying to be selfish or anything, but I've got a year and 8 months left. And I know there's not going to be a regional facility in that time. I would at least like for step one to come to fruition and just have that starting point so that we can say, hey, we did collaborate and we fought hard for this. And you know, Sunday we're going to have what we want. I know I trust in the board right now and so forth. So with that said, I'll stand for any questions.
If I can just say one more thing, I did receive the email from County Manager Hamilton with the 2 options. So we do have our board meeting. You know, I'm just one person. I can't make the decision for our council, but we can place that. I believe we have enough time to place that on the agenda to where we can discuss that to tell you which option we'd like to go forth with. And then if you guys can put it back on your agenda for the next meeting, then maybe we can get to where we need to be.
I agree with Roy Lee. They need to be paid for what they do. How much may be subject to some discussion. They need to be paid. I have a question on the JPA financial responsibilities. And Veronica, I guess you have a copy of this, but the way it reads, I'm confused, and I'm sure y'all can explain it to me. I'll read it. The city of Portales will continue to financially support the PRCCA with the assistance of Roosevelt County. In fiscal years 2023 and 2024, Roosevelt County will provide financial support in the amount of $175,000. So what I have a question is this the fiscal year starts July 1st, ends June 30th? So are we offering to give $175,000 for the fiscal year of 2023 and fiscal year 2024? Or are we going to give them $175,000 for fiscal year 23-24 because it includes both years? I'm unclear about that.
And I'm not sure about that either, but I do know that whenever we first started the negotiations, the years have changed since then because it was 22-23 at that point. We did in our meeting, and Tina, correct me if I'm wrong, but we did Commissioner Lopez and Ms. Dixon did say that they were going to retro pay for that year. I mean, I know they are only 2 people that they were going to recommend that to their board as well, because it was already budgeted for at that point. So this may be the new contract for this year, but I don't know where payment stands for 22-23.
Okay.
So Commissioner Savage, if I can just clarify.
No, go ahead.
Oh, we're sharing. So fiscal year 23 starts July 1 of 22 and ends June 30th. So as it's written here, it can be edited any way you want. If you want to adopt, and recommend 1 for the initial agreement to start with, and then work toward the JPA, that's up to the commission discretion. But it currently includes both recommendations. So as it's listed, it's the fiscal years. So it would be backdating and paying $175 for fiscal year 23. You would pay 3 quarters, once both governing bodies approve and sign on it, and the city can invoice us. And then going forward from July 1, to June 30th of 24, that would be the separate fiscal year. So the way it's written right now, it includes 2, but that can be modified. The commission can change that to just be fiscal year 2024 for the JPA, and then work the intergovernmental agreement at the 125 for fiscal year 23, if that's what you so choose. It's whatever y'all want to work for. These documents can be amended, modified. Ideally, y'all would take action on what you want to approve. Let us send final drafts for the city council. If Commissioner Dixon and Commissioner Lopez present, like Councilwoman Cordova is here today, however you want to have, we just want some kind of final document for y'all to take, somebody to take to the city.
And this keeps us, compliant with audit purposes as well, having a live living document.
I understand. Well, I'm full of opinions, so I'll get it mine over with and then leave it up to y'all. I believe they need to be paid for the services. How much? When we started these negotiations and they provided us with a tally of the calls for service, we could figure out what our portion was. What I've determined, and I ask you guys if you disagree, do your research and show me where I'm wrong. We were talking about 20%. That came about to 123,000. So this one agreement says 125. I could sure live with that. But that extra $50,000 in my mind was to provide incentive to move to a regional dispatch. That was incentive to move to an independent dispatch manager that was responsible to an independent responsible to a board. That's what the 50,000 was for. So what I would like to see is, yes, we offered to give them 175,000 to move towards an independent dispatch center, the dispatch manager, an at-will employee responsible to the board, and with measurable benchmarks. But since that didn't occur, there has been no move towards a regional dispatch. There's been no measurable benchmarks. I'm willing to pay them 125. They need to be paid for services. But the 50 was to provide incentive to move. And so I'm not willing to pay the other 50,000 or make it retroactive. That's my opinion. I say give them 125, make it retroactive and get caught up, and then move forward on what we want to do in the future as far as the amount we want to pay to move to a regional dispatch center. I don't know if y'all understand it. Veronica, do you understand that?
I do. So,
But
our
that's
board.
just me. That's not them. They didn't say yes or no.
Yes, no, I understand. Our good faith effort has been, it's not going to happen overnight. Like Dennis said, baby steps is going to be, the slow turtle wins the race. But our first step to show good faith to you guys was hiring the director. So we are moving in that direction. We just want you to know, and we want to be transparent to you guys. We can look at the 2 contracts to see if we're going to just go ahead and decide to not move forward with a, regional and accept the 125, or go forward and accept the 175 and move towards that. But like I said, I'm just one person, so we have to present that to our
I
council as
understand.
well.
Understand. But I want you to know, I really appreciate you coming.
Yeah, and
I think that
I appreciate you having me.
getting you involved in the dialogue is moving things. Since you decided to take part, we're finally making some progress, and I thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you for having me.
So, Mrs. Hamilton, I have a question. And you'll have to walk me through it. The agreement with the 125, can we pass that today, approve that with, how do I want to put this, to attach the other agreement that would follow? behind the 175.
Um,
How, I would like to make that kind of a motion, but I'm not certain how to do it. That would comply with your agreements that you have.
So the county attorney is going to be able to chip in on this too. But yes, the board can take any action you so wish. If you want to modify, change, do whatever, if you want to take action, you can certainly approve one and approve the other one in concept and float it to the city, because at some point with negotiation, there's got to be some two-way communication, as we all know. So let them take it back, as Councilwoman Cordova explained, present it to the entire city council, let the council as a whole review it, bring back any, and then at least work through the JPA. But you could then have the agreement on hand. We have got to have an agreement so that we can get some invoicing, so that we can issue some payments, as we've explained on our audit capabilities and talked about multiple times with the board. So we really need to have something in place so that we can render payments for services. That's what we're asking for. So there's two options here. If you want to move forward with the JPA, in part of the negotiation, I would just encourage more dialogue and two-way with the entire, since the board here is having a whole discussion, allow the council to have their entire discussion as they've talked about.
Well, that was the purpose of my question to you, because I wanted to get something going today and at least get something where that we could maybe have a contract or an agreement between the two and start or get them paid for this past year.
So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the document that will accomplish that is the document titled Portales Communications Center Agreement. That's the 125. That's for the general dispatch services. The JPA is the one that contemplates the creation of a board, and that's subject to, future discussions and whether or not you want to go, that regional route. So the Portales Communications Center Agreement is one that accomplishes, I think, what you're talking about, Commissioner.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Lopez, you.
Yes, thank you, members of the board, Mr. Chairman. Real quick, this question is probably for Amber right now, but I was under the impression that this will be a working document that's going to be revisited at least every 6 months or a year. I truly think the city would agree retro pay at the 125 and then to revisit it at the 175 at a later date. So I think that's what you were saying, Commissioner Greider.
Yes, sir.
So I would agree with that. But Amber, correct me if I'm wrong, this can be and will be a working document because just the sign of the times alone, right?
Yeah, so Commissioner Lopez, I think to speak to that, in the section of term, it just talks about that this agreement will be in place for fiscal years 23 and 24, and we can clean up that language.
Right.
But as of starting in January 24, we need to reevaluate based upon call volume and services provided in the event that something has changed in those dynamics. So yes, it would be something living, breathing, reevaluated each year so that we could have one consistent report. I know that's something that Commissioner Savage and I worked through, trying to make sure that we have the same consistent report to compare year over year call data to ensure that the percentages that we're providing in terms of funding satisfy and meet the needs that are being met for Roosevelt County unincorporated areas.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Amber. My point was well answered, or my question was answered, and I just wanted it to be on the record.
And we appreciate that also because TJ can attest that our call volume for this last fiscal year has probably quadrupled.
It's gone up about 40%.
Yeah, it's gone up 40%. So
And that's just fire and EMS. That's not-
yeah, that's just fire and EMS, not law enforcement. So it, our guys are running ragged. So,
Mr. Chair. Amber, what's the difference in the 125,000 and then what they actually invoiced us for last year? Do you know?
No, I do not. The invoices that we were receiving were the 37,000 or whatever that we had agreed to, the 4 quarterly payments and everything from prior years. But at this point, we haven't processed anything that is tied to an agreement. So based on the data of the most recent that Commissioner Savage and I requested and reviewed, that is what he referenced in regards to about 20%, the 123. So we feel certain that at least for now it represents it. And then in the next calendar year, come January 1, let's get the same reports. Let's compare year over year and see if there's any percentage changes in those.
Thank you.
Chairman, can I make the motion that we send this Portales Communication Center agreement of 123,000 to the city, 125,000 to the city?
I'll second that.
I don't know what's the name of
It's
the-
called
I ask a
the Roosevelt
question?
County
It's the
Dallas
Roosevelt.
Communication Center Agreement.
Yeah.
that. We've had a motion and a second on that. And yes,
So can
ma'am.
I ask for a point of clarification? He said send it over, but we really need to approve
We need
it.
to
We'll
approve
approve
it.
it, approve it to
And
send
then
it over.
automatically I take care of the sending it over, but I need y'all to actually have the motion to approve.
And that's,
Please.
Now,
that's
does,
what we have
That's what I,
on the floor.
does that mean
And
we're going
I
to
am
send money
calling
with it?
for a vote. Do what, ma'am?
Does that mean that we are going to send the money with it? Is that what we're
No,
doing for past?
No, because it has to be approved and processed
Okay.
before we can write a check.
But I'll
Okay.
take the check if you want to give it.
I just was clarifying. Thank you.
Mr. Savage?
Yes.
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 5 yes votes, motion passes. And I want to thank you, Veronica, for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me. We look forward to having Ricky at our commission council meeting on Tuesday. And I hope that we can work towards doing this more often and
We
getting
want to
things
start
done.
moving.
Yes, yes, we want to start moving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Request for approval of award of ITB 2023-6 Roosevelt County Health Clinic external renovations to RG Lath and Plaster.
Yes, good morning, Chairman Commissioners. We released an ITB for the Roosevelt Health Clinic external renovations. We did receive one bid that was responsive and responsible from RG Lath and Plaster Incorporated for a total bid of $113,358. With that, I'd like to request the approval of an award to RG Lath and Plaster Inc. Stand for any questions.
Mr. President, I move for adoption of 7B. Approve the
Second.
award.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roy Lee, how do you vote?
Yes.
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 Okay, Dennis, now it's your turn.
Yes.
5 yes votes. You're gonna have to start coming in person, Dennis. I can't see you over the phone.
I can get you guys all sick. You know, I like shaking
Oh,
hands.
no. You stay there. Item 7C, request for ratification of change order number 1 for contract for external renovations at the Roosevelt County Detention Center for approximately $6,300.
Correct. I'd like to request the ratification of change order number 1 for the existing contract with RG Lath and Plaster for the detention center external renovations to apply 2 layers of high impact mesh for an approximate amount of $6,300.
And I move we approve 7C.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Roy Lee?
Yes.
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 5 yes votes. Motion passes. Item 7D, request for approval of professional maintenance agreement with APIC Solutions for Detention Center. Ms. Ramsey.
Yes. Apex Solutions is the company that helps us with our cameras and video surveillance. What they have proposed is to also include intercoms and door lock maintenance. It's a huge issue for the detention center to have all those things working together. I believe the contract or the agreement was for 32,000, and that's annually. But this gives us the opportunity to bring these guys in when we need any kind of maintenance for intercoms, doors, and cameras. And that is a huge benefit for us to be able to have that all with one company.
Okay, thank you, Shayla. Do we have any discussion?
I move to approve 7D.
A second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve 7D.
Yes.
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 Five
Thank you.
yes votes, motion passes. Request for approval of memorandum of understanding between Roosevelt County and Eastern New Mexico University for program services at the detention center. Mrs. Hamilton.
Yes. So and Miss Paulus is here today, so she's dying to get up in front of people. She can certainly let me know. But included in your packet was the agreement that she worked out with Eastern New Mexico University. So with some of our grant funding through her program, she is going to be purchasing the Parenting Inside Out curriculum. And ENMU is going to provide the instructors and the materials for the program participants. So it's a very much dual partnership that allows those students to get hands-on, but it's really helping this program development and rolling out additional programming that we talked about for our detainees. So this is just an MOU outlining those between the two entities itself, and certainly would stand for any questions as it was included in your packet.
Mr. Chairman, I move for adoption of 7E.
I'll second that. Motion made and seconded to adopt 7E. Roy Lee?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Five yes votes. Moving on. Request for approval of transportation road use and road maintenance agreement between Roosevelt County and Eastern New Mexico Water Utility Authority. Mr. Lovato.
Chairman, Commissioners, we're looking for approval to, with this road use agreement with Eastern New Mexico Water.
I make that motion to approve 7F.
Second.
Motion made and second.
Yes.
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 Mr. Lopez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Five yes votes. Item 8, resolutions, ordinance, and proclamations. Consideration of resolution 2023-13 and opposition listing the lesser prairie chicken as threatened species. Tina.
I think I've talked about this a lot, but I'd make a motion to approve.
I'll
Chair.
second that,
I'd like to say something first.
please.
Northern part of Roosevelt County will not be affected one bit. South part down here, the southeastern side of the county, southeastern side, the south and southwest, going back into Chaves County is going to be affected big time with the new mapping that we've seen at a meeting. Been to 2 meetings, listened to Yvette Harrell, talking with Yvette Harrell, Clay Nichols. It's very vague, very gray. There's nothing black and white. They're making up rules as they go. It's just like Tina said. Ricky is asking about the roads, asking about the Roosevelt County Electric doing business down there. They said, oh, not going to be affected. We'll work through it. Who knows? Because they just, in the next sentence, it's coming back where the Endangered Species Act, I think, is in the Endangered Species Act, and what is it, clause 9 or whatever, talk about the the taking, and it talks about harassment, shooting a chicken, yada yada, and nothing was. They never did tell us what the road department's going to be able to blade those roads, upkeep roads. If a road gets washed out in March, and we're down there all through April and May trying to fix those roads, if they're going to be able to or not. And it's very gray. And this deal is serious for us down there. They excluded almost all of Lee County, just the top northern part of Lee County, all because of the oil. They're afraid of it. They don't want to disturb it. They're finally figuring out where the money's coming from. And so for the state, and anyway, it's like I say, who knows what's to come, because they don't know either. They may know, but they're not telling us, and it's scary. But anyway, I want to second the motion and vote. My vote is yes on this resolution.
Mr. Lopez, what's your vote?
Yes.
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 5 yes votes.
How many seconds can I record?
Item 8B, consideration resolution 2023-14, budget adjustment for the third quarter financial reports, part 2. Lily.
Okay, included in your meeting packet are the third quarter budget adjustments, part 2. There you will see or have seen the lengthy budget adjustments to payroll and benefits. As we prepared our initial budget for fiscal year 23, we realized we had only budgeted for 26 payroll dates in that fiscal year. As we reviewed our current budget, we realized that this current fiscal year includes actually 27 payroll dates. So these budget adjustments are to account for the 27th payroll in this fiscal year. We also had some unexpected repair expenditures here at our courthouse. As you can recall, our past fall with AC issues, you will also see a budget adjustment of $15,000 to account for that. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
I have none. I move for the adoption of 8B. Is that what we're on?
A second.
Motion made and seconded to approve 8B. Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
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 5 yes votes. See, Dennis, I didn't want you to think I forgot about you.
Thank you. Saving the best for last earlier.
Consideration of resolution 2023-15, sponsorship transportation project fund and project match comments for funding application of approximately 38 miles of various Roosevelt County rural roadways. Mr. Lovato.
So on our last meeting, the TPF we combined both applications together. District 2 said that they wanted a resolution for each one standing by themselves. So we went and separated the two applications, and C and D would be for the resolutions for those two applications that we submitted to New Mexico DOT.
I'll move we approve resolution 2023-15.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve item 8C. Mr. Savage?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
5 yes votes. And then it's just repetition on item 8D. I assume, Mr. Lovato?
Correct, sir.
Move to
Um,
approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve resolution 2023-16.
Yes.
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 Thank you.
5 yes votes. And Ms. Smith, what do you have for the media today? If there is no media, I see none. We have adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Lael, you have made
Thank you,
our
guys.
day.
Having me.
How do you turn this, Lael? How do you turn this off? Pick it up.
Just hang up. It was fun. We just didn't go over. You didn't say about the 3 inches and that was the change. You know, I was trying to get up with that, but it is in the proposal.
Well, I tried to leave last time and I
I
had
will go with you.
call me back, so I guess I'll hang around. Oh, I thought I was done last time. He's down the door. Hey, where you
Go hold
going?
his hand there, too.
Ricky, he's on that handshake, that pinky.
You wanted to hold my hand through something, so I was like, here we go. See y'all.
See ya.
I'm gonna go make this correction
That-
before I get that.
That was nearly a
Okay.
corner,
See ya.
and you missed
Need
it.
sign.
That Jim Kansas got me.
That good one.
Coat of many colors.
Uh-huh.
Hadn't heard that song in a while, have you?
Oh, no, I do. I have a record
Some of
with it
them.
on there. Yeah, I love Dolly.
Kevin McCullough, you know, because we liked him when he played for Tech and he moved to Kansas, so I like to watch him. But most of the others, I don't know any of them. So
I put my glasses on so I can see which one.
Trying to
actually
think.
is.
Say, Roy Lee, is it time for glasses?
Huh?
He's got him.
I've got him.
I've been
He's doing the whole.
numbers. Yeah, the play zone.
Let me scoot back. All right. Oh.
Oh, shit. I think the